Hi, Holly. My
Hello.
name's Ashley. I'll be your clinician today. Very nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you too.
All right, so how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling anxious today. Oh man. I was supposed to go to a concert with my best friend Ashley, and she said she has a whole bunch of things that she needs to get done. Mostly she has to bring her cat to the vet, and I guess it's a big emergency, so I kind of like hate her right now.
Okay.
Ugh.
Well, if you're comfortable, typically before I start my sessions, I like to do something called the mental health check. So basically, it's just a minor breathing exercise that we do just to kind of make us more present in the moment, rule out any anxious feelings, get rid of all that negative energy. So if that's something that you're comfortable with, I would like to start that.
Yeah,
All
sounds good.
right. So what I'll have you do is just get nice and comfortable, and I'll do it with you.
Okay.
I like to do it too, so I can gain some mental clarity as well, right along with you. So what we're gonna do is just put your palms right here on the tops of your knees. Just get in a nice comfortable position. I'm just gonna have you close your eyes. And with each breath that you take in, you'll hold for 3 seconds, and then you'll release it. And we're gonna do that 5 times. If you would like me to count out loud, or you can count in your head, whichever is easiest for you.
Out loud.
Okay, so ready? Nice deep breath in. Hold for 3 seconds, and exhale out. 1. Our second breath, nice deep breath in. Hold it for 3 seconds. Let it out. Breath 3. Nice deep breath in. Hold it for 3 seconds. Let it out. Breath 4. Nice deep breath in. Hold it for 3 seconds. Let it out. Breath 5. Nice deep breath in. Hold it for 3 seconds. And let it out. All right, I'll have you open your eyes right now. How does that make you feel?
Better.
Feel a little relaxed?
Feel a little relaxed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too much, not too little, just enough for us to kind of ground ourselves, relax ourselves a little bit. I'm glad that you feel comfortable right now with that.
Yeah, thanks, because it just felt like my heart was going to just pounce out. I was just so mad,
Absolutely.
anxious.
Well, breathing techniques are a great way for us to relax, bring us to the present moment. And, now that we've completed this technique, I'd love to get started and ask you what brought you in today.
Um, well, I'm just anxious all the time, and I have been wondering why, how can I fix this, and why am I like this? And I'm also like going back and forth with a lot of things, with my career and with school. I don't know what to pick. I have done so much as it is, and I don't know if it's me or if I need to take an assessment to figure out what kind of career I should do. So I'm just like all over the place. I need a little guidance.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you're here, and I would love to help you with that. So when do you feel like these symptoms started to occur? These feelings, when did they start to arise?
I think they start to rise when I probably was a teenager. I believe when I started working and focusing a lot on school and putting the pressure on myself, and I first started working in a restaurant, and then I ended up going to a trade school for culinary arts, and I thought, oh, I'll be a chef, and that's kind of where it all started. And then after the chef job, and I went to change careers. I did telemarketing.
Mm-hmm.
And then while I was doing telemarketing, I was going to school to get my associate's degree in liberal arts because I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just figured get all those classes out of the way, math, English, all those. And then I just ended up getting my associates and changing jobs again. And what else? Let's see. When I was I went from telemarketing, and then I went to um, drawing blood. I went to school to be a phlebotomist. I took a break from my degree and even went in for a medical assistant, and I didn't want that. That was boring. But drawing blood seemed pretty fun. That was good. And then I did that for 2 years, and then I ended up finishing my degree. But I ended up going to Worcester State and got my bachelor's degree in geography.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been kind of like all over the place. Like, who am I? What am I doing? And I don't know. I just don't know.
Well, it sounds like you've had a lot of experience. If there's one positive thing that you can take from that, is that all of these positive experiences have contributed to who you are as a person today, your characteristics that you have. And it's always nice to dabble in a lot of things, it gives you experience. And once you gain those experiences, that's how you work towards figuring out who you are, where you feel you should be. And sometimes those journeys are short and sometimes those journeys are long. And it's okay because the end result is the same. You're still working towards one common goal, and that's figuring out who you are and where you would like to be in this world. And that's okay. And it sounds like you're doing a very great job trying to figure those things out. So we can shift our perspective and look at that in a positive manner. You are working towards trying to figure out who Holly is.
And thank you for saying that because I just always have people going, oh, different career. Oh, a
Yeah.
different school, different program. What are you going to be today, Holly? It's like,
Yeah.
wow, can't I just do what I want to do? But
Yeah.
the way you're talking, it seems like, yeah, I am trying to figure out who I am. Who is
You are.
Holly? And you just saying that, I feel almost accepted. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay to be like this.
It is okay to be like that. What one thing looks like to you may not look like, to other people, but that's okay. That's because everybody's perception of the world is different, you know, and that's okay. We are all different. I would like to talk a little bit more on, how do you feel like this is affecting you currently? With friends, family, work, school, how are those relationships,
Well, I am kind of up and down with my best friend. I love her one day and then hate her the next day. Like today, I
Mm-hmm.
was so mad that I couldn't go to that concert,
Yeah,
and then she's texting me all these things, trying to like make up for, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. And I just don't, I, I don't know. I kind of wish, I guess maybe if I could see her side of the story,
yeah,
why we couldn't go to the concert versus me being selfish, I guess, and being like, what? Who cares about that cat?
yeah,
So I wish that was a lot better.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the only close friend that you have right now?
Yes, that's the only
Okay.
close friend I have right now. And also, I well, my relationships are never that good.
Mm,
My personal relationships, and going through boyfriends. That's another thing I go through.
yeah,
Guys, unfortunately, I have unsafe sex.
yeah,
So, I say I love sex, so why not? But
yeah.
a lot of people are against it,
Hmm.
and I guess having multiple boyfriends is annoying. So,
Loving sex is not a problem. A lot of people love different things. Sex might be yours. It's just being safe and making sure that what could be potentially a healthy behavior doesn't turn into a risky behavior. Unsafe sex can lead to other things such as, pregnancy, a possible STI. Those are things that, you don't want those things. We want to avoid those things. So practicing safe sex, it's okay that you're engaging in those behaviors, but it's just ensuring that you are practicing them in a safe way, and not being risky, so maybe use condoms and stuff like that just to, as preventative, you know.
yeah, that's true. I don't want to get sick. Yeah.
No, you don't, and those are things that, it's okay that you enjoy sex and that's, that you're comfortable with that and stuff like that, but there are risks with multiple partners and that risk can possibly be, an STI. And that's something that, you don't want to do. Maybe when's the last time you've seen your primary care?
Oh, yeah, probably a year ago.
Okay. So with the multiple partners, and practicing unsafe sex, checking in with your PCP, getting your blood test done and stuff like that, that would be a good practice for you to be doing right now.
Yeah, he has been on me about seeing a gynecologist, so yeah, that's true. And possibly getting on the pill. So
Yeah,
you're right. I buy the condoms, even if the other person doesn't come up with them. At least
exactly.
I want to be safe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
multiple partners, like I said, that's okay, but you got to have those preventative services, intact so you can avoid, an unwanted pregnancy, an STI, so I think prioritizing seeing your PCP, your gynecologist, I think that would be, a step in the right direction, just that way that you're ensuring your own safety as well as the other person, so those are just some things to consider. And you said that you've had multiple boyfriends?
Yeah, those.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't seem to last long either, and it's just.
Okay. Why do you think that is?
Um. Well. Usually because I always think that they're gonna end up cheating on me,
Yeah.
and I just end up pushing them away.
Hmm.
And I kind of assume that they're gonna do it, and they haven't even done it, and then they
Okay.
get mad at me, and then they just
Okay.
doesn't work out.
Have you been engaged in previous relationships where there was cheating that has taken place?
Yes.
Okay.
So I assume they're all gonna do it.
Yeah, of course, because we get conditioned to those feelings and we just kind of assume that everybody is the same exact way. But
Yeah.
the beauty about that is that you can challenge those things because no two, people are equal. Everyone is different and everyone is not like the person that, you may have been engaged with prior to that. So, when you are experiencing those things during your relationship, you got to look at the facts. Had they displayed behaviors that would, insinuate that they may be cheating, behavioral patterns, stuff like that. And communication is a really great tool to utilize when you're in those relationships. Not everything is always black and white. There is a lot of gray areas sometimes, so just being open and having those conversations and communicating with your boyfriend at that time, you know, and you have to challenge yourself. You have to challenge those thoughts that you're having. Are are they displaying behaviors that would insinuate that they're cheating? Really look at that and challenge your own thoughts and say, well, what are the facts? What have they shown me that would make me believe that they are cheating on me? Write down the list. If there is no behaviors, that's your proof right there for you to just have that visual aid that's going to serve as a reinforcer, remind you, okay, maybe it is just my own mind that is making me feel this way, and it's not really, him. So just challenge yourself in those times where you're feeling like, maybe they are cheating on you, etc. It's a good tool to utilize. Those visual aids are really good reinforcers for you.
Yeah.
Because then you can reflect on those things.
Well, you talking about that makes me think of like situations where I've been like, we're all out drinking, we're all in the bar,
Hmm.
and I see my boyfriend flirting with a really hot girl, and I'm just
Hmm.
like, what the heck? You don't want to spend, like
Yeah,
that attention should go on me, not
of
this other
course.
girl. And then they put their hands on them, and I'm just like, what is this? So that's when I'm thinking you're going to cheat on me when I see
Yeah,
something like that. And if I communicate, they're saying you have low self-esteem.
yeah.
Of course I'm not going to cheat on you. And when I hear that, of course I'm not going to. I just shut down.
Of course. Now, what I take from that is it sounds like, you're making good observations. That's not necessarily an appropriate behavior that a significant other should be displaying, especially in a public setting. That is a boundary that shouldn't be crossed as in respect for you. So I think that you're making a very good judgment call. That would appear to be a behavior that is not exactly appropriate in a relationship, especially if you're communicating the fact that that is not something that you are comfortable with. So it sounds like to me that although you're stating that you have had multiple relationships, I take from that it sounds like you're not settling and that you are aware of what you do want. It's just making sure that you are ensuring that you're challenging those negative thoughts and making sure that that is really, in fact, the situation at hand. And you're not just pushing people away because maybe you're having some irrational thoughts, which are very normal in relationships. We all have irrational thoughts sometimes. It's just challenging ourselves to make sure that those thoughts are actually rational and they are facts, so I mean, just maybe explore that sometimes in your next relationship, when you're in and stuff like that. And it sounds great. It sounds like you communicate, you make your boundaries very clear to them. Again, it's just working on that internal piece, and making sure that you are reflecting and, internally on those thoughts and just checking, doing that mental check. Like, are these rational thoughts? Are these irrational thoughts? And just challenge them before, um, having that conversation or maybe making a drastic decision such as, I'm ending this relationship, and say he was in fact not. There are situations where sometimes our minds can get the best of us. We're all human beings, that happens. And if that does happen, sometimes we can have those regrets, but that's why we just utilize that tool, challenge those thoughts, check in with ourselves, and then, then you're able to make a more informed decision, that just are not based off of just, potentially irrational thoughts. So I think that's, I think you're at a good place. You're at a good start. Now it's just working on that internal piece
Thank
for
you.
yourself.
When you're talking about boundaries and communicating, like the next guy I'm with, should I tell him like, hey, this is what I don't like? And if he says too bad, should I just
Absolutely. I do think that it's important with everyone that we're very vocal about the things that we're comfortable with
yeah.
and setting firm boundaries in place and just communicating those in an effective manner, because then you're allowing people the opportunity to either, basically, they can either stay or they can go. You're giving them that, give or take, aspect. So I do think that's important to communicate those things with your partners.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, good. I was always scared to like bring it up because I'm like, oh, here I am being the girl, like not liking this when they're flirting with other girls. It's like
Yeah.
I don't flirt with other guys, so
No, and I do think that's a boundary that should not be crossed, especially if your partner is, communicating the fact that they are very uncomfortable with that.
yeah.
At that point, it's disrespectful. So I think that you saying that and being vocal about that is really important, because the respect that you have for yourself is going to be projected onto other people. So, if you don't respect yourself, other people will not respect you. So I think that's a good thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome. What about work and school?
So right now, I work at an elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
Done with the phlebotomy, and now I am actually working on my master's. It has nothing to do with geography.
Yeah.
But it's um, it's it's going okay. Things are a little bit tough at work now that we're on the subject.
Yeah.
It's a different environment that I'm not used to. It's with a whole bunch of women,
Yeah.
and they do like to have drama and gossip, and I try to stay out of it.
Mhm.
But sometimes it's hard, and because if I don't say anything, I'm not part of the group. But if I do say too much, then I am the worst person in the whole school. So I don't know. I guess trying to find who Holly is in the school, like I, I guess I'm having troubles with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finding placement can be difficult sometimes, especially when you're in a new environment. How long have you worked at that school?
9 months.
9 months. Okay.
So it's not long.
Yeah. It's not very long, and developing relationships with other people, with your peers, your coworkers. Those things take time. You know.
Be patient.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I would be very patient, and I guess I'm not.
Patience is a virtue, but patience is not always something that everyone is able to practice. But the beauty about it is that we can learn to practice it more. Just being patient with yourself. You're in the developmental phase of life. We don't always have to have the answers. We don't always have to know where we belong, because sometimes not belonging is almost belonging in a sense when we're in those different phases in our life,
Yeah.
and you're just trying to figure out who you are. So it can be difficult to try to find your place in specific groups or jobs when you're still figuring out who Holly is.
Yeah.
You're in a transitional phase and you're learning yourself right now. So it's okay that you kind of have that weird space where you don't really know where you belong, and that's okay, because it sounds like you belong right where you're at right now,
Good. I mean, I was thinking maybe I should like bring something to the school to try to
That's always
help,
nice.
like cookies or donuts, and
That's very considerate and kind. That might be nice. It could serve as a good icebreaker with people.
Yes.
Opens up dialogue to have conversations. Obviously people will be thankful. It's a very nice thing to do. So, maybe that'll be a good thing to work and, open up a little bit of conversation. And who knows, there could be a great friendship that's manifested from that. So,
That would be good.
look at you. You have great ideas.
Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. Because it's a small town that I
Yeah.
work in, and I almost feel like I have to have blood from this small town to be accepted.
Small towns can be difficult.
Yes.
There's a close unity, but then there's also beauty in that as well because, once you're part of that, community, it's, that close kinship that comes from that. So, you could really find, great support, good friends there. You never know the type of relationships that could develop from them.
That's a good point because everyone that's really tight and know each other, they all seem like they have good relationships among each other. I'm just like, yep, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering too if me being too bored at work is also making me just kind of like, maybe I shouldn't be here. Maybe that's why another reason why I'm not as patient.
Yeah.
I get that a lot.
Well, being bored at work can definitely be an inclination that maybe you're not getting that sense of fulfillment that you're seeking out at this point. So,
Yeah, wow. Didn't think of it that way. Yeah, I can see, yeah.
filling up your cup, your internal cup, is very important.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Sometimes it takes people very long to figure out what fills their cup. And, I always say to clients, some people like to fill their cup with water, Gatorade, soda. It depends. Everyone fills up their cup with different things, and that's okay. Not everyone's gonna, like the same taste of everything. And right now you're just figuring out what you want to fill your cup up with. And it's okay if you don't want to fill it up with the elementary school, but you're figuring out all of these experiences are taking you one step further to figuring out where you want to be and what you want to do. So just look at this as a journey. And these experiences are just contributing to that path. And it's pushing you further down to figuring out where you're going and where you want to be in life. You're just on a holly journey right now.
Yeah.
Figuring things out as you go. But that's great that you have that reflective moment where you're realizing that boredom is a trigger for you, right? So now what are you going to do about it? And that's okay. If you realize that you are bored here, you're not happy there, well, now what can we do with that information? Can we make a choice to find something else? To go somewhere else? I know that, the pattern, the habitual pattern, is obviously something that you're not always very comfortable with, but you're figuring out where you need to be right now. So, that's a good reflective moment that you can realize that boredom, you are bored there, you're not getting that sense of fulfillment. So you have to figure out ways to seek that out, you know? Excuse me.
I'm wondering too, like, if I am getting bored, maybe I should just try to put myself out there at work. Just kind of say, hey, you know what I did this weekend? And just kind of maybe open up to talk more to get the relationships. Because maybe if I am talking more or asking, how their weekends were, I'm not as bored at work, maybe.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That is a great point. I'm sure you watch a lot of your coworkers socializing with one another.
Mm-hmm.
And typically at work, once, there's always usually more time allotted, once you complete all your work tasks, that there are those spaces and those moments where, you can have a conversation with a coworker, maybe walk outside, grab a little bite to eat or something, go get a coffee quick. And, it would be nice, maybe those friendships will fill up that gap that you're having right now.
Yeah.
That's a really wonderful point. I'm glad that you brought that up. I think that you're already thinking about ways, to manage these situations that you're in. And that's great.
Because I'm tired of going from job to job. Like, if you see my resume, I'm just like, okay, I gotta cut some of them out, and I'm just like, I don't feel like I'm being loyal to the employment where I need to be. So I'm just like, how can I make this better? Am I doing something wrong? But so you think maybe if I try to,
I think maybe considering baking those cookies, bringing them in, using that as an icebreaker, and start working towards maybe just trying to develop those relationships. And, if you still find yourself where you're disconnecting from people or maybe you're not able to engage with people and, you're still bored at work, then, you cross that bridge once you get there, but focusing on the here and now. And, it sounds like you may have a, you know, resolution at the moment, so maybe just try that.
Okay.
You know, give that a go. What's your family relationships like?
Um, well, my mom passed away when I was 26, and my dad, that's been off and on. Because I was living with him for a little bit, and then he freaked out on me, and then I just left, and I didn't tell him where I was living, nothing. And it's not like I don't check up on him to see if he's okay,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not as close as we used to. Because when I say we were close, we were really close. Like we
Yeah.
would bike, snowboard, hike together. Uh, we were close, and then I just got tired of him yelling at me. I was just like, what? I'm almost, I'm, I'm getting old. I don't need to get yelled at like this
Yeah.
anymore. I'm like, I'm done. So I'm hoping. I know I won't be able to get as close to him like I was before, but I'm hoping to have a relationship again. But
Mm-hmm.
where to go, where to start, I don't know.
Conversation.
I just, yeah.
Conversation is always a starting point. And if you feel like maybe too much of him can be a trigger for you and it could turn toxic. So then you still want to have a relationship with him. What can we do? We can limit that time. You know, maybe start off small, once a month where you're having a lunch date with your dad. You know, something small, or maybe a quick biking trip, or, you know, just hitting the trail maybe for a half hour, an hour. You don't have to necessarily be engaging with him 24/7, you know, but it sounds like you do yearn for that relationship with him again, but also being, you know, around him too much can also sometimes turn into a negative thing. So it's just
Yeah.
really a balancing act with those two things, you know. Start off small, a lunch date once a month, prioritize it. You're still getting to spend time with him, but then, you know, you're not around him 24/7 where you could be, you know, reacting to it negatively. It's just having that conversation with him and communicating with him that, you know, your relationship is important with him and that you would like to spend more time with him. And like I said, just starting off small, putting it in your calendar, just taking that, you know, and doing it.
Yeah, doing small because I mean, when we're before we were always together. Always check up on him. So yeah, maybe his birthday's coming up, and I wouldn't mind taking him out. Just like a quick bite to eat hour, and just
Sounds like you have your in right now. So now you just got to capitalize off that, utilize that, you know, that birthday as being that icebreaker for you to schedule something to spend some time with your dad. I think
would
that's
make
a
him
good
happy.
decision. Yeah, and it sounds like I'm sure that he would appreciate it, you know, and then you guys can celebrate together, you know, bring back that closeness. But you can start off small and you can build back up to that, you know, but take your time. You too, you know, you got to be patient with these situations and stuff like that. And rebuilding, yeah, patience, right?
Yeah.
That is a difficult task for all of us, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you know, when you knock down your house and you're rebuilding it again, you understand that you're not able to build that house in one night. You know, and all stable foundations take a while to be able to build up to that house that has a solid structure.
Yeah, all
So
those layers. Oh my,
there's
it
a
does
lot
take
of
a while.
layers, and there's layers to relationships, there's layers to us, there's layers to life. It's just understanding that those things take time, and the process is not always an overnight process, and just accepting that, you know. And acceptance, that's another thing, you know. We have to work towards learning how to accept ourselves, our situations, and it's all a learning process, you know. We're all learning as we go. I'm still learning every day, you know, so that's great. How is school going for you?
School is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never always have a big issue with school. Except for, not knowing what I want to do as a career wise until
Yeah.
now. But other than that, no, school is good. Except for, a little bit of stress here and there, getting papers done, all that.
But overall,
Almost.
managing pretty well.
Yes.
Okay, well that's good. And what did you say your major was now?
Mental health care counseling.
Okay, and what brought you to this point?
Um, Everything that I've been through, I think, especially with my mom and childhood, and I know she had a few issues, and I've been her caretaker since I was like 7, so I've always had to take care of her. And then working with kids on the autism spectrum and myself working on me, all that, I'm just like, ooh, it'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of help others, because when I finally was able to get help in certain areas, I was like, oh, this is nice. Like,
Yeah.
I can help others in that way.
Absolutely.
That would be good.
Well, it sounds like you know partially, where you want to be. It sounds like you're really great at helping other people. That's something that, gives you that sense of fulfillment from what you're expressing to me. That's what I'm taking from that. So that's a step in the right direction. There's a lot of career paths that we know, and it sounds like clinical mental health counseling would be a good, place for you to be, especially if you thrive off of those situations of helping other people. We know when we're in the right place when it gives us that sense of fulfillment, that happiness, that, almost a, so to speak, a natural high that we feel after that.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're in the right place.
Yes, and I don't think I'll get bored.
Well, that is a good being,
Yes.
being sure is
Yes.
good. Self assurance is very important. So I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for sharing that with me. Um, So what I wanted to discuss with you is some of the treatment options. I'm not entirely, I mean, it sounds like you're in clinical mental health counseling, so you might have, a good idea of what DBT is. So that's dialectical behavior therapy. Do you kind of have an idea of what DBT focuses on?
I'm more familiar with CBT.
CBT.
Yeah.
So DBT was originally developed to treat borderline personality disorder, and now it assesses a lot more than just that. Negative behavioral patterns, emotional regulation, substance abuse disorder, depression, um, suicidal behaviors. So it treats a lot of things, not just BPD. It's more of like a mindfulness approach to therapy, which I feel like is really nice, and that's something that's being frequently utilized. These days, a lot of like regulated breathing, self-soothing. It encourages just practicing mindfulness techniques. And it sounds like you sometimes can be all over the place a little bit. So
Oh yeah.
utilizing techniques such as that, would be really beneficial for you because it'll just teach you, more so how to be in the present moment and just, those grounding techniques that really bring you back to there and now.
Mhm.
So, it would be something that I would like to utilize with you going forward if that's something that you would be interested in. And under the umbrella of DBT, there's a lot of skills and interventions that can be utilized. There's some worksheets, there's deep breathing techniques, but there's one specific technique that I typically like to utilize with my BPD. So it's called the mirror technique. So if you're comfortable, this is what I typically utilize. It's just a little handheld mirror that we use. And it sounds like when you were speaking to me that you expressed that maybe you have some potentially identity issues and just figuring out who Holly is and just really honing in on that. Like I am Holly, this is me. And it sounds like, sometimes you struggle with difficulties with your relationships and the people in your life and just kind of having that real high where like you idolize them really significantly, but then the moment that maybe something happens, you devalue them more so like I hate them,
Yeah.
and just understanding that it doesn't always have to be black and white. It doesn't have to be this idealization where you love them so much and then once, something goes wrong that you hate them as well. You know, there's that in between moment and just understanding, that sometimes people are not always going to be able to attend the concert. They might have to, things do come up. That's not a judge of how they feel about you. It's just that some things do happen in life where, we have to prioritize some things over another. That doesn't mean that they no longer value you as a person, but that they don't love you or respect your friendship. It just means that sometimes things have to be prioritized above, but that does not make you any less important. Do you understand? I'm sure that you found yourself in plenty of situations where maybe you had to reschedule a lunch before, maybe you had to, even just sometimes where maybe you had plans and you wanted to lay in bed a little bit longer because sleep sounded a little bit better. When you were in that moment, did you feel like you were making that choice because you didn't value the person that you had plans with or that you didn't care about them anymore?
Um, sometimes I didn't. sometimes I ended up doing it because I didn't care about them anymore because they did piss me off. So I was just like, ugh, whatever. I'll just do my thing then.
Yeah, so more so like a tit for tat type thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, definitely. What you know, this doesn't reflect how they feel about me. I didn't think of it that way, and that's a good point because we've known each other since high school, so it's not like things. Yeah, it's not like she doesn't care about me. She
Yeah,
just
because I'm sure she has shown you over years that she is a good friend. I'm sure. It sounds. How long have you guys been friends for?
uh probably 17 years.
17 years. Well, that's
Yeah.
pretty significant. You know,
Yeah.
the longevity aspect that shows that obviously she has been consistent with these, you know, standards that you have for a friend. It sounds like she's consistently met them, you know, because of the fact that you guys have been friends for 17 years. So, you know, that just serves as a reminder that, you know, sometimes things are going to come up and she may not be able to prioritize you at the moment, but that does not mean that you are not a priority to her. It's just sometimes we have 10 priorities and sometimes, you know, number 10 has to be number one. It's just understanding sometimes there's going to be that swap sometimes. And it doesn't speak to how she feels about you. You know, she still loves you. Her behavior patterns over the years have proven that to you. That is a substantial fact that you will always have. And that just serves as a reminder that you still are very important to her. And that goes for other relationships as well in your life. Just understanding that things do come up. And sometimes we do have to take the back seat and things are going to come up in your life where you're going to have to reschedule a lunch, cancel a date, or do something and not be able to attend a birthday party. If you don't attend a birthday party because you have to do a paper, does that mean that you no longer, say it's your nephew's birthday party, does that mean that you no longer care about your nephew, or you just have an important paper that you have to meet the deadline?
That paper meeting the deadline.
So you see how those circumstances don't necessarily dictate how you feel about that person, emotionally. You're not devaluing them. You're simply just having to take one priority and place it above the other.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you mean. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give you a little bit better understanding of,
Mm-hmm.
It's not always those black and white. It doesn't have to be like significant love or significant hate.
Yeah.
There can be these areas where it's like, I still love that person, but I'm upset at them right now. That doesn't necessarily have to manifest into hate. It doesn't have to be that high in love. So if you are comfortable, I would like to use this mirror technique with you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what I'm going to have you do is you're going to hold this mirror and you're going to take this Sharpie marker. All right, so I'll have you get nice and comfortable. You don't have to be. All right, so I am going to, during this technique, I'm going to ask you who you are. So you're going to state your name out loud, nice and calmly. So take a nice deep breath. Holly, who are you?
I am a very loving person. I try to be as funny as I can. Love humor. Love music. Um, I try to be a good daughter, friend, aunt. Uh, Try to be a hard worker. Good in school. Try to be the best I can be. Good human. Good human being.
I'm going to interject there for a moment. I'm going to have you repeat this practice, but instead of I try, I want you to replace it with I am.
Oh.
Because it's not something that you're trying, it is who you are, it's a characteristic, it is who Holly is as a person. So I want you to pick up that mirror once again, and I want you to look into that mirror. And again, we're replacing I try with I am. So I'm going to have you repeat those things once again. Holly, who are you?
I am a hard worker. I am a good aunt, good friend, good daughter, a good student. I am doing the best I can do. I am a good human being. I am a loving human being. that is completely different, and it feels good though saying that. And
Shifting your
looking.
perspective,
Yeah.
really engaging yourself and looking back and talking to you.
Yeah.
And you see how those words, I am and I'm trying says that I'm not yet meeting this. I'm not necessarily that person yet, but you are that person. And it's accepting that you are great, you are wonderful, and just looking and repeating that to yourself and telling yourself and reminding yourself of those things. And you just stated all of these things that contribute to your identity. So I know that, what you've expressed is like self acceptance and understanding who Holly is, but you just listed a lot of things that spoke to who Holly is, who she is as a person. So it does sound like you do know who you are. You just need to learn how to recognize that a little bit more and engaging in activities that remind you of who you are as a person. Because from what I take from that, it sounds like you are an amazing person. You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Wow.
I'm glad that you took something from that exercise.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. I would like for you to, if you're comfortable and if you feel like you have time, whenever you feel comfortable, whether it be in the morning, I like to practice those things in the morning because I feel like it sets a really good tone for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And it reminds you of how wonderful you are and how great you are, and you've embraced yourself and you're ready to tackle that day. So if you want to implement that just into your morning routine,
Mm-hmm.
you can, or you can do it. Sometimes people do it at night, before bed, and you kind of shift it a little bit, and whatever you want to say. It doesn't necessarily have to always be where you're asking who you are, but you can look in the mirror and say, today I did my best. Today I worked really hard. Today I gave it all I could. It's just, just that reminder that you are trying, you know who you are,
Yeah.
and you're reminding yourself every day. And I just feel like engaging in the mirror and just really like having your own self reflection in the mirror, like you're having that conversation with yourself and
Yeah.
you're reminding you, no, Holly, you are a great person and you deserve those positive affirmations. We often, more often than not, we beat ourselves up and we're always saying negative things to ourselves. So it's so important just to engage with you and have those conversations with yourself and remind yourself of how great and you are and how important you are. You are a key piece in this world and in many other people's lives, and just you got to remember those things.
Thank you.
I would really like to bring you in for another session if that would be something that you'd be comfortable with.
Yes.
I feel like we have some more grounds that we could cover with one another. And plus, I would love to hear back on how you're doing with the mirror technique. Do you feel like it's effective? Has it been working? Just overall how you feel about it. So I definitely would love to bring you in once again, just to be able to, touch base on some things, maybe implement some more, skills and interventions and stuff like that, that we can discuss further. But I'm happy that you came in today.
Thank you for having me, and I definitely want to try this. I mean, you got me all teary thinking it. I mean, it's one thing to hear from another person, saying how good a person I am, and then on top of it, for me to look and say those words, it's so positive, and it's like, I'm wondering if I keep doing this, I'm actually going to actually accept it because I'm looking and I have those positive words coming out, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, not only are you recognizing this is my identity, this is who I am Holly, and you're engaging in that, that you're looking at your face at that same time, and then you're serving yourself those positive affirmations. Those are just the reinforcers at the same time. So, I feel like it's a very powerful tool,
Yeah,
and given your emotional reaction, which is a very positive one, because sooner or later you're going to start believing these things, because they are true. It's just giving yourself that platform to learn that about yourself. So I'm glad that you really enjoyed that technique. It's a good one.
It
It's
is.
a good one. All right. Well, we will schedule our session for the next time. But it was great to have you here today.
Thank you so much. It was
You're
great.
very welcome.